Donnie, Rightside, and Joe Raineri right here on the early line on a football Friday, a Super Bowl football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network. And now it's time to get to some of those spread lines you need to know for tonight and this weekend's action, which once again includes Super Bowl 60 between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. Sam Darnold versus Drake Maye. This line, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, opened up at 4.5. We still see today on a Friday, that sits at 4.5. That total, woo! Huge line movement. Opened up at 46.5. Now sits at 45.5. Nothing has changed, it feels like, in 2 weeks, Joe. So the final time I'm going to ask you this question for Super Bowl 60. What is your spread line for this weekend's game?
Yeah, we are starting to see a little bit of movement here, a few less 45s in the market now. So we are starting to see the tick up a little bit overnight from the total, which again is what a lot of us expected to happen. I still think, Donnie, there's a good chance that this thing gets to 46 or maybe back to the original number, 46.5 by the time we get to kick on Sunday. Today, tomorrow, and leading up to the game on Sunday, this is when the public gets involved. The big question is the influential bettors. When are they jumping in here, Donnie? No rush, though. With the way this game has been lined at 4.5 and 5, there really hasn't been a rush to go because it hasn't moved, and they're not key numbers. So we'll know, Donnie, I think if we see this thing tick one way or the other, we'll know where the influential bettor's going. But I don't know that the public is going to have a lot of say in pushing this one way or the other.
Friday practice reports will be out later today. The final practice report for Super Bowl Sunday here. Maybe that makes a difference. Eamon, a key contributor to that defense here. See how healthy he is. See if he gets in at least a limited practice today as he lines it for Sunday. And both quarterbacks expecting, once again, full go in their practice reports. Should get a clean game and a clean slate and clean weather reports from Santa Clara. Super Bowl Sunday is finally on the horizon. Feels like we've been talking about it for 2 weeks, but also I do want to understand this. Like sometimes you get the vibes, whether it's from Media Row or this week, or maybe it's just from social media, that the hype isn't just there yet for this game. Now, we're trying to find out. We don't have a lot of great information because it's not as if it was two powerhouse teams coming into this year where the last 5 years they've owned the NFL. That hasn't been the case for Seattle and also New England. Are we expecting a solid game? Yeah. Point spread under 7 points. It sits at 4.5. But the energy we're trying to build towards Sunday here, when in the past, Joe, you had superstar teams and superstar players year after year. This sort of shakes it up a little bit. It gives us a little bit of an insight into, let's see how powerful the NFL and what those ratings actually will turn out to be when the game is final. But for the game itself, Joe, 4.5 as a favorite for Seattle, 45.5 as the total for New England. I got to tell you, looking at the line itself, it's telling me New England at the 4.5 because it's holding firm, and everybody you see just loves Seattle. And granted, Seattle's the better team, but the question isn't will Seattle win this football game, Joe? It's will Seattle cover the 4.5?
Yeah, and listen, you know, history tells us, Donnie, that the underdogs in the Super Bowl, especially getting more than a field goal, has been a money bet over the years, Donnie. I mean, we're not making it up. I mean, the underdog right now, I believe, is what, on a 5-0 ATS run.
Yeah.
And if you go back even further, it's been, you know, we're talking about an 80% clip here. So, you know, the difference between, but when we get to this game every year, Donnie, sometimes the difference between these teams, although it may seem huge, and don't forget, Philadelphia was a dog last year, all right? And they absolutely blew the doors off of the Kansas City Chiefs there. And at most, that game felt like a pick 'em, right? One way or the other, but it didn't turn out to be that way. Here, it turns out that everybody seems to think, the public seems to think Seattle is this much better team than New England is. And usually when you get to this time of year, Donnie, there's not a lot separating the two teams left standing. Yeah. So I think that's why we haven't seen the line move any further towards Seattle, because history tells us, yeah, they may win, but winning by more than a field goal, easier said than done.
Yeah, you got to take out the recency bias, right? The 49ers, one of the biggest
Yep.
frauds in the NFL this year. They absolutely obliterate. I'm talking about Seattle, which is what they were supposed to do. Great game against one of the better teams in the NFL in the Rams, but also pristine conditions for both of those games. And then you take a look at New England. Oh, their offense doesn't look that good. How good is your offense supposed to look in a rainy, cold day in New England against Houston, one of the better defenses, and then go out to Denver and play in an absolute snowstorm? So you're sort of getting that recency bias on both sides, and we'll see how that plays out. And the question's going to be halftime adjustment. Sure, longer halftime. Bad Bunny's going to be out there on the field, and maybe the second half is higher scoring than the first, Joe. But who do you think comes out on top in the first half? Seattle is the favorite in the game at 4.5 points, but for the first half, Joe, -3.5 and a total that's listed at 23.5. Any thoughts on which team is going to get the jump early in this football game?
Yeah, well, we've seen this has been New England's specialty all year long, right, Donnie? Their ability. I think they only trailed at the half in one game. I think outside of that, they were absolutely dominant in the first half here. So, this will be the scripted portion of the game, Donnie, right? And McDaniel and Drake Maye and Vrabel and company all year long, they have. That scripted portion was ready to go and dominated early in games. Now, will that go up against Seattle? Well, it remains to be seen here because they were pretty good also early on getting out in front of teams. I would look more along the lines of, will this game be tied at the break, Donnie? Whatever that prop is, I think there's some value in that with these two teams.
Yeah, even with like the scoring itself, like I do expect a slower start. It is the Super Bowl. Two teams that, starting quarterbacks haven't been in the Super Bowl, maybe get their running game cranked up at this point and see as it turns out to be. But that's the way I would play it. Second half, I do think will be more scoring than the first half. We'll see how it plays out on Sunday. How about this? The Seahawks are the first team to receive 70% or more of the spread bets in the Super Bowl. We'll see where that ends up once the public gets involved and before Sunday. But as we've been talking about, Joe, for 2 weeks now, it feels like the Seattle Seahawks certainly are the favorite public side heading into this weekend's matchup.
Johnny, again, I'm hearing 5 to 6 to 1 tickets on Seattle here. It is absolutely overwhelmingly public in this spot here. But again, that hasn't exactly, history tells us, that has not been the right side here, especially laying this kind of number in the biggest game of the season. Going to be interesting to see where this number lands.
Yes, it is. Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 60 preview. We got you covered on a Football Friday right here on the early line. We'll be back with more updated topics. Don't you go anywhere. Next. A lot of people don't get to attend Super Bowls. Why? It's not because you can't get there. It's because you just don't want to pay the outrageous tickets and hotel fare and all that stuff and tens of thousands of dollars to get in. But how about this? The 4 people who have attended all 59 Super Bowls will be back for number 60 on Sunday. Can you imagine going to 60 straight Super Bowls? And do these people know each other? What's happening here?
I think they do now, Donnie, because this has been a thing as of recently here, where they keep highlighting it. But that's that is the ultimate, right? To be able to say that you've been to. We're happy, Donnie. We meet our buddies and we get to go to like a game once every 4 years. Like every year, they're going to the Super. First of all, I don't even know how you're getting tickets to the Super Bowl. 59 Super Bowls, now 60 is a little crazy here. But yes, it's that's quite the feat here, and that's actually pretty good bucket list stuff right there.
Largest Super Bowl comebacks here. Did you know it was 25 points here? Of course we did. 28-3. How many times did we see that when the Patriots went to overtime to beat the Falcons in 2017? But I found this interesting. The Kansas City Chiefs in 2020, 2023, and 2024 came back from a 10-point deficit all 3 times. There's a chance that Mahomes shouldn't have any Super Bowl rings, but then again, he came all the way back there. And by the way, Eagles in 2023 were absolutely robbed. If that game was played, Joe, on AstroTurf, the Eagles would have beat the brakes off that Chiefs team. That's what happens when you play on an ice skating rink. You give Patrick Mahomes a free Super Bowl championship. It's not right. It's not right.
No, it's not. And it's, and it also doesn't help when the Zebras are throwing yellow flags every chance they get in favor of one guy or the other. So, but no, it'll be interesting. I don't know. They'll have to be a big comeback in this game one way or the other. I do think it's probably going to be closer than most people anticipate here. But Should be a fun one way or the other.
Let's see what happens. Super Bowl Sunday coming up here for us. Let's get into some of these prop bets that we love. And the quarterback battle is something we're always going to talk about. Two quarterbacks coming into the Super Bowl, maybe a little bit banged up. Oblique injury for Sam Darnold, shoulder injury for Drake Maye. Both of these guys getting full practices in this week. We are not anticipating any issues from either Darnold or Maye. So we take a look at those passing props here. Maye listed at 221.5, and then Sam Darnold at 228.5. Touchdown passes, obviously the same at 1.5, just juiced differently. Plus 134 for Drake Maye, minus 108 for Sam Darnold. I'm not anticipating these quarterbacks to struggle in this game. Legitimate that they both can go over their passing props and touchdown props for me, Joe.
Yeah, I listen. It's whoever we figure, Donnie, whoever might be trailing, certainly in the second half, might have to do a little bit more passing than running. But both of these teams, Donnie, and I get why the total is low where it is. When you look at the numbers, both these teams are two of the slowest teams in the NFL as far as running a snap, right? 28.8 seconds for New England, 28.6 for Seattle. So they are taking their time getting to the ball. And then, Donnie, both of these teams are about 50% run. So, you're going to have to abandon the run if it ain't working, and you're going to have to throw more. We saw Sam Darnold do it. We have yet to see Drake Maye have to do it in the postseason. But, boy, this is I think there are some value here on the overs. I'm with you. I think they're artificially low. I think passing is going to be a huge part of this game.
Let's see what happens. And also, let's hear from Drake Maye talking about Sam Darnold's journey to the Super Bowl, huh?
Big fan of Sam. What a journey. What a career he's had. Just to battle the life of the NFL and knowing that, his first opportunity, obviously he got put in a scenario where, they decided to move on. And from there, he's made them pay ever since. He's battled of not playing for years and being the backup to getting his chance and just making the most of it. It's been awesome to see. Just what this side of, such a great story, the side of the league that, people think that, what makes the league so special. It's stories like Sam that just puts his head down, works hard. It's turned to one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I've got to know him a little bit. He's a great dude. He's one of the, the best dudes I've met. And he's, looking forward to seeing him on Sunday and seeing him do his thing. But also at the same time competing against him.
There you go. Drake Maye talking about his counterpart. Two likable guys heading into the Super Bowl. We want a villain, though, in the Super Bowl, don't we, Joe? Like, we want to hate Mahomes. People want to hate the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think we have two hateable teams right now. Now, granted, over the past, most people just hate the Patriots. It's hard to hate Drake Maye. I mean, the guy just seems like a likable dude, doesn't he?
Very hard, too. Both these guys, It's very hard not to root for both of them. But the Patriot fans are much more interested in hating Tom Brady right now than anything else. But that's okay. In the meantime, Drake Maye and Sam Darnold, will it be the last time we see Drake Maye in this spot? Probably not. But Sam Darnold, he's right. It's one of the best stories of the last decade, Donnie, in the NFL. Talk about redemption.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's take a look at some redemption here for the running backs. Could it be Travion Henderson, who didn't really have a big game plan, or included in the game plan, I should say, against the Denver Broncos? He's up a couple yards to 18.5. Kenneth Walker's number continues to slide down. He's now listed at 72.5 from Andre Stevenson. Looks to be the lead dog in the backfield here for the New England Patriots at 49.5. And then Drake Maye, quarterback, sitting at 37.5. Some running back props there that you can dig on for Super Bowl Sunday, Joe.
Yeah, and again, knowing that both these teams, 50% of the time running the ball a lot in an NFL, Donnie, that loves to throw the ball, right, has fallen in love with the passing game over the years, but it's running the football, both of these teams. Now, we saw Seattle abandon it last week because, listen, we have already played the Rams twice. We know we're likely not going to have a ton of success. We're going to see. I mean, they're really good against the run too, New England. So I tend to think I understand why we're fading the running back spot on Seattle, but I think there is absolutely an undervalued running backs for the New England Patriots. It wouldn't shock me if Travion Henderson rips one off for 40 yards, goes flying over that total for him. And Ramondre, listen, slow and steady wins the race. That's not a terribly big number for him either.
By the way, in the receiving market, it just seems like it's Jackson Smith and Njigba and just a bunch of dudes. He's listed at 93.5 as his receiving prop. Stephon Diggs, the next closest competitor here. He's obviously on the Patriots at 44.5, and a bunch of guys in the low 30s and mid 20s at this point. So value in the eye of the beholder for Super Bowl Sunday for the wideouts.
And I think fading JSN too seems to be the way to go here. The public, couple of public guys that they're absolutely betting left and right. Cooper Kupp and JSN are huge public prop bets right now, Donnie, from what I understand. In fact, maybe the most public bet is Cooper Kupp anytime touchdown, from what I heard yesterday from the guys in the risk room. So I doubt very much that Vrabel is going to allow JSN to take the game over like the Rams defensive backs did. I think he's going to say anybody but JSN. I think there's some value in fading him.
How about those touchdown markets that we know and love? It seems like it's a foregone conclusion that Kenneth Walker III is going to score a touchdown, being priced as high as minus 190 to 200, depending on where you're shopping at. Jackson Smith and Njigba, he is also juiced at a minus 110, and everybody else is plus money. But if you dip into those prop markets here and the predictive markets, you can bet the no on these guys. And if you figure Kenneth Walker III just might not score a touchdown, a $100 investment on that, Joe, pays back $264 to the no. We love to get the no contracts here when we're talking about the touchdown props here. If you want to fade the guys that most people think are going to score touchdowns.
I agree. And again, I couldn't believe when they were saying they have more Cooper Kupp tickets for an anytime touchdown than they thought were coming. He is without a doubt the public darling to score. And I get it. You know what I mean? He could very well still at plus money, Donnie, get into the end zone, because I don't think they're going to let JSN blow this game up. So you might have to look some other places, including the tight ends on both teams, Donnie.
Yeah, it should be a good one here as it lines up. And also, these numbers will change. It is a Friday here, so you still got Saturday and Sunday. Most of the public can open up their laptops once they get home from work tonight and start doing some action here on taking overs, and overs. And we'll see if that pushes it up. So if you like an over right now, you better grab it, because the chance of it going lower now probably going to be infinitesimal. You want to make sure that you're getting in at the right time, and that's what we're here for on the SportsGrid Network. Tom Vecchio, he's coming up next. We'll ask him some questions as well. Super Bowl Sunday coming up soon. Finally, it's a Football Friday here on the SportsGrid Network. Donnie Rightside along with Joe Raineri. Let's welcome in Tom Vecchio to get you ready for that kickoff at 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, and a lot of action in between and a lot of fun we're going to have with Tom Vecchio. What's good, Tom?
6:30, I'm feeling like a 6:55 kickoff, if we're being honest. There's no way it actually happens at 6:30, but I'm ready to go. It's good to see that some of the lines I was on early on in terms of, George Halani, which I tweeted about last week, spoke to you guys about last week at 7.5. That prop has moved up to 11.5, and it's good to get some closing line value, at least in the last game of the season.
Yeah, we'll see if we get some closing line value depending on which way people are going to pick with the Super Bowl itself, as we have still all week long this week, all week long last week, Tom, a minus 4.5-point favorite for the Seattle Seahawks here, despite a heavy public interest in the Seahawks. That line hasn't moved all that much, and a total of 45.5. So if we look, Tom, at the line itself and maybe just the winner of this game, will it be the Seahawks or will it be the New England Patriots raising the Lombardi on Sunday?
I've been saying it all week, and it's kind of a cop-out, but, Seahawks 24-20, right, which puts them not covering. They win the game. We stay right at that total. But a 5 number or 5.5 number, if it were to move that way to the Pats, I think there'd be too much public interest in the Pats at a 5.5 number. I think they are live in this game. This is not some dramatic upset or dramatic difference between the teams. Seattle is the better team, but it's not as big as people are making out to be. So I like the Pats to be in this game. I'm thinking 13-10 at halftime, really either team. I think it's going to be close throughout.
Well, I believe you can still get 3.5 in the first half at FanDuel right now for New England if you think it's going to be good. And I was saying earlier, Tom, they have been I think they were only trailing in one game this year at the break. They had done a great job of jumping out in front of teams here, and 21.5 seems to be that first half total. Are we maybe even first quarter under scoring? You think it's going to start a little slower in this game than, right off the bat, all of a sudden we've got a 10-10 game heading into the second quarter?
I was saying this the other day. I think this is going to be a very slow start. And that just because teams play things super close to the vest, it's super scripted. We know all that first 10, 12, 15 plays. They have this all set in stone, essentially, at this point. They know what they're going to be doing. Again, I'm expecting a very slow start. I think there will be a live opportunity. Joe, you and I will be live at halftime. But seeing a live total drop to the upper 30s or low 40s, that's going to be the most interesting to me, because you give me a 41, that I'm going to love. So, yes, a very slow start, first quarter under, 3-0 after the first wouldn't surprise me.
We love to look at the quarterbacks. We love to take a look at the wide receivers and the catching options here in the Super Bowl. But also one of those markets that we do like is the rushing props here, Tom. Kenneth Walker's been dropping from the opening numbers about a week and a half ago. He's down to 72.5. But here's the confluence. Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, who roughly had a split in the backfield for most of the season, but for some reason, Ramondre Stevenson getting the bulk of the carries versus Denver in a close game has most people backpedaling just a little bit on Travion Henderson. He's now listed at 18.5, which is up from 16.5. And then there's Drake Maye, now sitting at 37.5. George Holani at 10.5. Any looks here from the running back props that you like, whether you're backing somebody or maybe you want to fade one of these guys?
To me, I would say over on Drake Maye and under on Stevenson. Seeing the volume of work that Ramondre Stevenson had versus the Broncos is great. 20-plus carries, nothing to shy away from. We have to take note of that. He was remarkably inefficient. Under 3 yards per carry, and he has to grind his way foot by foot, not even yard by yard, foot by foot, just to get to 40 or 50 yards, is not the type of player I want to back, especially when he's going up against a defense such as Seattle. Drake Maye, 15 sacks, 5 sacks per game. He's going to have to scramble with this Seattle pass rush. So I would rather back Maye knowing that he has to get out of the pocket and move and can't be taking the sacks and the fumbles, and just know that they are not going to move the ball efficiently on the ground. And then if they do fall behind, it just won't be a Ramondre Stevenson game script, and they can't hand the ball to him 20 times.
Yeah.
What do you do with the receivers? To me, Tom, it feels like no matter the Rams secondary was trash, and no matter what they did, they could not stop JSN, right? I think Vrabel and company are going to listen, anybody can beat us but JSN. I think Christian Watt's going to be, Gonzalez is going to be all over him, blanketed. They're going to double team. They're going to dare him to go to anybody else. 93.5 yards? Is he really going over the century mark?
I would say this. If you're interested in JSN going over 93, you might as well just alt him to 100 and play him for MVP. I don't have interest in him, but I think that would be the case. If he does go over 93, he's going to get to 100, and he's probably live for the MVP. I think the Pats are going to do their utmost to remove JSN and Ken Walker from the game, and they're going to say, Sam Darnold, try to beat us with the other tools that you have, right? If JSN ends the game with 50 or 60 yards, that means Rashid Shaheed has to step up. A.J. Barner has to step up. They can eliminate Ken Walker. It's going to be a little bit of Cooper Kupp. They have to do everything they can to remove the two best pieces, because if you do that, that's when Sam Darnold will be the most prone to make mistakes. So I like Rashid Shaheed over 21.5 for his receiving yards and 14.5 for his longest reception.
Football Friday, we love it, even though we don't love that it's the last Football Friday of the NFL season. See you next September. But we are going to enjoy this for what it's worth, and a lot of hot topics still coming our way. And also changes made to coaching staffs, which includes the Buffalo Bills. Joe Brady, the new head coach there, was the offensive coordinator. Pete Carmichael comes to town, and a front and center look at the catch or no catch. How about that?
Bills Mafia want to know, was it a catch?
Was not. We caught it. Denver caught it that time. I'll have a different opinion here very soon once this season. To me, it's still the 25 season. That Super Bowl hasn't been played yet, so I have to have a little bit of loyalty there, but ask me in another week, and I'll give you a different answer.
How about that? What do you think? By the way, that cost me some money on that. That would have got me an over prop there on Cooks and maybe even won the game for the Buffalo Bills. A massive call that was made, and they stuck with the play as it was called on the field, Joe.
Yeah, I still, to this day, I still think it was a catch, Donnie. I don't understand how it wasn't. But, hey, kudos to him trying to keep the loyalty there for a team that is no longer paying him, which is also very interesting at that point. It would have been great if he would have just toed the line and been like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't privy to it. Looked like a catch, but I'm glad it worked out. No, he went straight favor of the Denver Broncos, which is probably not going to sit well with Bills Mafia here at all, no matter even if he changes his tune.
Now, let me ask you this question here. The Cowboys will play the NFL's first ever regular season game next season in Rio. So I guess we've been to Brazil, but just not Rio at this point. Do we even know who the Dallas Cowboys are playing, or let's just send Dallas there? We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, I believe it is the NFL's first game in Rio here, but it's I think we just know it's Dallas at this point, right? You know, what we see, the first international game, Donnie, I think was the Cowboys against Jacksonville in London. That was over a decade ago, just to give you an idea how far we have come here. They have not announced, by the way, who the Cowboys' opponent is going to be, but you know, at this point, they just want they want everyone to know it's the Cowboys that are going to Rio for that first opportunity. Can't believe it's been a decade now since we've been traveling overseas with these ridiculous games.
Melbourne, Australia is going to get a pretty good game here, at least what we anticipate. The San Francisco 49ers taking on the Los Angeles Rams. But how about this tweet that comes out now? 1 p.m. in Melbourne is 9 p.m. Eastern. 4 p.m. is midnight. 7 p.m. is 3 a.m. Do we know what time this game is actually being played in Melbourne and also technically in the United States?
No, I have not. That's just
a morning one.
A lot of I don't know. All I know is by the time those teams get back from Australia, they're going to need a month off. They're going to need more than a bye week, Donnie, to get themselves assimilated back here. The whole thing is just head scratch. The further we go, right? The further we go. Well, what are you going to do? Put them on a Thursday night game the following week? Like the NFL is just asking for trouble here.
No, they certainly are asking for trouble. Tons of international games are going to be played this year because the NFL is all about money, not really about fan experience or worrying about the well-being of their football players. That's just the way it is. How about this story, though? 17 years in the league, Matthew Stafford is officially an MVP. And you know, he can – now, I didn't watch the NFL Honors. I don't know if he was there. I think he was there talking because I want to say I actually saw a clip of it last night. But how about this? Did he thank Mike Vrabel at all for him being able to win the MVP, for holding back his quarterback and letting Matthew Stafford win this on the final day of the season? Did he say that at all?
I don't believe so, but nobody would have been surprised if in fact he did actually send a shout out to Vrabel for letting him hand the ball off. But listen, I think you gotta at this point, Patriot fans, I think even I would much rather have handed the ball off because it was working and make it to the Super Bowl than, have him try to pad the stat machine, and just throwing the ball all over the place and anything happening. So I think they're happy right now with the way things landed.
I mean, Stafford was allowed to sling it down the stretch, and Drake Maye, they're like, hold on, brother. We're going to have to negotiate a new contract. And I heard from Robert Kraft, we can't let you win this MVP because it's going to cost us long term. I'm still shocked that quarterback and his coach, the coach didn't let his own player win an MVP. That is outrageous, man. And I was tweeting about it the day I watched it on the final 2 weeks of the season saying, this is unbelievable where Vrabel is absolutely abandoning his young quarterback right here. Defensive player of the year, maybe easy as it gets, Myles Garrett. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, hello. And I think, who was the coach of the year? Let's see.
Vrabes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Vrabes. Yeah.
Vrabes for holding his own quarterback back. Tremendous stuff. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah, the predictive markets. We love them right here on the early line and also on the SportsGrid Network. Did you also know you see myself and Joe Raineri Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on the early line? But also, we have a show nicknamed PME, Joe. Prediction Markets Edge, that also appears on the SportsGrid Network. The people need to know about this. If they're not watching, they're doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. No, listen, it's certainly an aspect of it all. I mean, if you're looking at the game on Sunday and you're looking for a couple of different ways to profit, but maybe don't want, Donnie, to have to sit there and wait until the outcome to get paid, then the prediction markets in this show is for you, I promise you.
Super Bowl extravaganza show. Be on the lookout here on the SportsGrid Network this weekend because we're going to put in some work for the people out there. And in the meantime, let's put in some work right now. How about this question asked on the Kalshi predictive market? How long will the halftime show last, Joe? At least 13 minutes, at least 14 minutes, at least 15 minutes. And And by the way, 95% chance that it does finish in at least 13 minutes. That probably makes some sense. How long is it? Like, is it really 15 minutes? Like, what's that block? I think it is 15 minutes. And most of the time, it's not going to be cut short. So if I'm looking at taking a contract that, yes, just for some quick money, it's got to be at least 13 minutes for me, Joe. How about you?
Oh, it has to be, right, Donnie? I mean, you got to be careful. I mean, it's the same thing, right? The anthem, too, right?
Yeah.
How long is the over-under on that? I mean, all of that put together, there's always some sort of snafu. They're always running behind, Donnie. So I'm with you, at least 13 minutes for me.
Yeah, and it actually says, Joe, how long will the halftime show be? Do we know which halftime show that they're actually talking about? Maybe we don't, but also understand this. It is going to be the Bad Bunny halftime show. Do we have, since he is going to be singing in Spanish, the translator maybe is a little bit slower, so maybe delays it, Joe? You got to use all angles here.
I agree. Listen, it doesn't make a difference. Start of the game, halftime show. There are always, these things never run on time, Donnie. The production of it is a mess, trying to get all of the equipment on and off the field. Usually something ends up happening. One of the stages breaks a wheel or something along. Anything is possible there, Donnie. Anything.
I mean, we saw Super Bowl halftime shows where sharks aren't dancing correctly here. Mayhem at Super Bowls at halftime. We'll see if it happens. And also, the NFL got themselves in trouble in the early 2000s by revealing just a little bit too much from Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. Let's get to the Pro Football Championship MVP. It's no surprise. The team's quarterback that is favored to win, it's the Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold, at a 44% chance. Drake Maye at 27%. So I'm not going to ask you, Joe, the simple question, who's going to win MVP between Darnold or Maye? Can anybody else in this game be worthy of a chance to win MVP where you can cash in a ticket?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I mean, when you look at the market, Donnie, you've got two guys there in Drake Maye and Sam Darnold that make up just about 72%, right? They're the guys that are, one of those two guys is going to get it done. So it's usually a very efficient market because the quarterback position is usually the one that takes home the MVP. But I don't know, is it worth taking a shot somewhere down the road there and maybe look at a Kenneth Walker or a JSN or, heaven forbid, some sort of defensive player and really hit the lottery ticket?
Now, here's what I like about this, too, because Joe always preaches this. You can win this bet, or should we say investment, just based on a player having a good first half, Joe. Hear me out on this. Kenneth Walker III, 6 carries, 32 yards, and 2 touchdowns by halftime here. He's going to be the favorite to win it. You don't even have to wait around, and you can get a better contract price than when you started with. So use that to your advantage here. How about this? The number 2 overall pick in 2026. That means we probably know Mendoza's going to be number 1, heading off to Sin City and the Las Vegas Raiders. Arvell Reese, superstar linebacker for Ohio State, 53%. Ruben Hurricane Bain, 16%. David Bailey and Francis Mauinoa, this monster left tackle for the Miami Hurricanes, Joe. We're not even in the season yet. We start to slander these kids. Any opportunities, Joe, that you might be able to make some money with the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft?
Well, I think it's important that you understand who is selecting number 2. And then you put on your New York Jets hat and you go, what is the worst possible decision that the New York Jets could make with the number 2 pick? And then you scroll down and find whatever the percentage is for Ty Simpson, and then you put the money on that, Donnie. And then the draft, as much as it will annoy you as a Jet fan, at least you profited well from it.
Great stuff all the way through, rolling towards Super Bowl Sunday on the SportsGrid Network. Let's get to some good stuff here and some topics, Joe. This is the time we like to reach out to the public and see what they're talking about. Here's our Fade the Public poll. Oh, we're fading the public. You want to know why, Joe? At SportsGrid, we asked a question about Super Bowl Sunday, which is Super Bowl 60. Will the Seahawks cover the spread? The public said, oh, yeah. You see this graphic? It's 67.7%. Live right now, it's 71.4%. The public thinking it's going to be minus 4.5. Just too easy, man. Just too simple.
Well, listen, it's a really good shot that it will be, Donnie, that we don't get a whole lot more movement. one way or the other. I'll say this. I don't think it's going to 4. If it's going anywhere, it's likely 5 here. And again, everything we're hearing, Donnie, we're talking 5 to 6 to 1 tickets for Seattle versus New England. The public is still betting Seattle as of today.